Are you ready to unlock the secrets of brand innovation? Here you'll discover unexpected ways to make your brand soar in value. Get ready for inspiring stories, actionable tips, and insights you'll need to build your brand and learn an entirely new way to fly. This is the Hummingbird Effect. And now your host, Wendy Coulter.
We started the Hummingbird Effect Podcast last year. This has been a lot of fun. And so if you've been listening for a while, you're realizing I'm not on script today. So I figured with Mikki Paradis in the house, I had permission
to
we do what we want. Things different. And so the Hummingbird Effect is something that is a lot of fun. It's looking at small changes that companies or individuals have made in their marketing or branding and how that affects a different area of the business in a really big way. And so I'm excited to have Mikki Paradis with me today. And I also have Hannah Jernigan from the Hummingbird office, as usual, as my sidekick. Yeah. So we just finished up some Starbucks and headed over here to the Starbucks, amazing studio that we showed Mikki around.
Yeah,
today.
you might be seeing my podcast up in here too because my basement's looking real busted compared to what Joe got going on up in here. So I'm just saying.
So I'm just excited to have you on today, Mikki. We've known each other a really long time. And you're in the trades. I'm going to put it that way.
A tradesperson, a tradeswoman.
So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but you have to share like a fun fact that nobody knows that you haven't really shared anywhere else. Maybe if there is one. And introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background and where you come from.
All right. So again, I don't know if I'm looking at a camera, if I'm looking at you. I'm just doing whatever. I'm just gonna maybe sometimes I'll break. What do they call that? Like you break the fourth wall and just like directly look at the camera when I really want to make a point. I do that on my podcast. So I'm like, hey guys, listen up. It gets weird and I like it. And I think the 7 people who subscribe also must really enjoy it. So
awesome.
There is that. So yes, I am a drywall and paint contractor. I started my business 20 years ago. So I had the joy of having you at my 20-year party this April. And so that was awesome. But it's wild to be doing anything for 20 years, like the same thing for 20 years. Right. It's kind of strange. Yeah. It's also really unusual for a woman to be a drywall contractor, especially in the way that I am a drywall contractor. I'm an actual drywall contractor, and that really throws people off.
Well, because you actually put up drywall sometimes,
I know how to hang and finish and sand and scrap and move drywall and what drywall is and how it works. And like me and drywall are one at this point. It's like there's...
I don't know. You look a lot better than that.
I mean, but like it was so funny because somebody was like, it's so funny how much you love makeup. And I was like, yeah, but think about what I do for a living. I'm just fixing walls. So I'm just filling these holes in. That's all I'm doing. So it's funny. It translates to a lot of things that you don't really think about. You're like, oh, that actually makes sense. Like I'm sanding. So yeah, I actually physically for a long time did the work. And then, my back was like, maybe we should consider hiring people. So I agreed with my back and I just now spend every 2 weeks like clockwork at my chiropractors. So I have people now that kind of do that. And we've also grown. So, I started when I was still a senior at an NC State, which was so wild.
Go Pack.
Yeah, go Pack.
We got 3 Wolfpackers here at the table.
It was funny because I moved here from Orlando, which is not the South. I don't care what you say. It is like northern Puerto Rico, northern Cuba, but it is not the South. They do have sweet tea, but that's about the only thing going southern for them. And the heat. So I didn't understand like college sports the way that North Carolina does college sports. And then I moved here and it was like, you have to pick a side. And I was like, it's like I'm joining a gang. Like, can I just like do the thing? And yeah, so I graduated from State, so go Pack. They're very proud of me whenever I'm like in the news for something good. Like they're like, oh, NC State grad does such and such. And I'm like, yeah, but if I did something bad, I bet you wouldn't be putting me in your magazine, would you? And they're like, obviously not. So yes, drywall, I've been doing that 20 years. And we kind of during the recession, I was working for track home builders and it was a nightmare. on many levels. But then the recession happened, and I had a builder that was like, yeah, they owed me like 40 grand. And they're like, we're not going to pay you. And we think you're too stupid to come after the money. Like, they literally said that. And I was like, feels like a challenge. So I did go after the money. Turns out I wasn't that stupid, hiring an attorney. And we ended up winning. But after I was done paying for the attorney, it didn't feel like winning.
There wasn't any money left.
It didn't feel like I won. It felt like I could gloat, but I didn't actually win.
So I went through that a couple of years ago, and the attorney stopped me. He said, we could go after this 40 grand, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a lot of your time wasted. And even if you got it all, most of it will be gone. And
yes.
And
that was solid advice, because that's exactly how it shook out. I think out of the 40, I got 11.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's not helping anybody. So that was when I decided I would never work in residential again. I used the recession to like build my own estimating software, which at the time was not a thing that was happening in construction. Construction's very behind the times in technology, and I always say that like the only entity slower to adapt to like new anything is like the US government. It's like construction and the government. Like that's how slow we are to adapt, because we're like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm like, guys, I hate to bring it to you, it's broke. It's been broke. So I developed my own estimating software, and I did a lot of consulting for these drywall companies that worked in the multifamily arena. And I was like, yes, I like this. Like, I liked the pace of it. I liked just like how quickly it all happened. And so I kind of learned while I was doing consulting work, like how to kind of get into that space. And so after the recession, we went full blown into multifamily, new construction. So apartments and senior living and condos and student housing. So all kinds of like multiple people in one building. That's my jam. So I've been doing that for some time now, and I really like it. It's my happy place.
So that's PDI Drywall.
Yep, that's PDI.
Now take me to what Mikki's doing today, because there's so much more than the drywall company. Right. So talk through what you're...
Drywall is the main gig. But I clearly think there is an abundance of time in the world, and I have all of it. So I then started so I'm also a licensed general contractor for funsies. 5.5 hour test, studied for like 70 hours. I was like, I'm going to be this licensed general contractor. And then realized once I had my license that I actually don't work with homeowners in my regular, like in drywall. And so now I'm a general contractor dealing with homeowners. And I was like, I don't do well in this arena, because I'm used to dealing with people that understand construction. Mm-hmm. So then it was like having to explain things to homeowners was not where I shined. So I was like, okay, so we're going to keep the license, but we're not doing general contracting work, because I was not great at the homeowner part of it. So licensed general contractor, I am a public speaker. So I have been speaking for years. It's funny because I kind of get pigeonholed into like the talking about being a woman in a male-dominated industry. Right. But really, over 20 years of being a woman in a male-dominated industry, the thing that I like to talk about the most is really about building confidence and like what it takes to be the only woman in the room, and like what tools do you need to have to be that only woman in the room. And so like one of my keynotes is called Bring Your Own Chair. And so it's like, stop, you go into the room. You don't need anybody to make room for you at the table. You don't need somebody to save a spot for you. Just bring your own chair, roll it up, sit at the table, and you're at the table.
Or if you're Mikki, you bring your throne.
Or I bring my throne, yes.
I think I've seen some pictures.
We did some promotional photos for the speech, and it was so hilarious. We're looking for a throne, but like, where do you find a throne? Like, we're just there's not thrones just laying around town. You could just be like, can I borrow that? But the woman this amazing creative director that put together the whole shoot, she like knew somebody. She was like, hey, we went to this house in this neighborhood that like I would never be allowed in this neighborhood. Like if I wasn't like on a list to get into this neighborhood, I would not be allowed in this.
Okay.
But they knew I was coming to pick something up. So we go into this neighborhood. It's a pool with a Versace logo in it, and I was like,
"Oh wow,
is this a Versace? Like, is a one of
Who
the
lives
Versace's live here? Like, what is happening?" But I knew I couldn't ask questions. It's like, take the chair and go. They allowed us to borrow this throne, which is their outside pool chair. I can only imagine what their inside chairs look like if their outside pool chair is a literal throne. So we like roll up, throw this chair in the back of our truck, strap it down, go to the photo shoot, do our shoot, bring it back to this fancy neighborhood, and we promptly leave. And I will never forget that moment. So there is a little bit of a throne action, but it's to accent the levels, of bringing your own chair. Like you can start off with your little roller chair, but at some point, like at this point, when I come to the table, I am sitting in my throne because I am a queen, and I'm just like, yeah, boo, let's do it. So awesome. Lots of public speaking. I also, for funsies, just like because not enough time in the day, started a podcast. Awesome. So Chicks in Construction is really geared towards women, not necessarily women, but homeowners that they don't know what they don't know when it comes to construction in general. Whether it's you need a new hot water heater, or your HVAC went out, or you're doing a whole home renovation. The amount of horror stories that I hear just being in construction, it was getting out of control. So I thought to myself, okay, even though this literally benefits me none, like your whole podcast is like, hey, I'm in marketing. Let's talk about marketing. I'm like, let's do a podcast that has nothing to do with my business. But we're just really trying to educate people because it hurts my heart, when I hear these stories of people having these really bad experiences. So we kind of have, it's like a 2-part, like some episodes are an expert comes in and kind of talks about like, hey, here's what to look out for. Here's what's normal in the industry. Here's what not. And the other episodes are we have homeowners write in and share their homeowner horror stories.
Oh, yeah.
And so we read through the story and we kind of are like, okay, so flag on the play. Like this is where things started to go wrong here. And so our hope is to help people have less and less homeowner horror experiences because they are like, wait, I watched the Chicks in Construction podcast and they said when this happens, run, don't walk. Like that's my phrase. Like when something gets weird, I'm like, run, don't walk.
I love it, Mikki.
Yeah.
So what's a fun fact no one knows about you?
Oh, there's so many. Because I'm just a treasure trove of hidden secrets.
Okay.
I will say one thing that people find very surprising about me is that I am a seashell enthusiast to a point where, right, like you were just shocked right there. Shocked.
Seashell enthusiast. We have 2 at the
Oh
table.
my God.
2 at the table. 2 at the table. Honestly, if you came in my house, you would realize there's 3 at the table.
Okay, thank you. I'm finding my people. So
Yes.
it is depending on who you ask, a borderline problem. I don't think it is. But if you were to look at the amount of seashells in my house, you might be like, we're borderline on a problem here. But it is like the most relaxing thing in the world is like going somewhere and I'm hunting for seashells. Right. Like I'm in my zone of excellence. Like I'm going to find the best seashells and then I'm going to clean them. Like it's all the whole thing. It's not just like finding them. Because I know a lot of people, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this, they're like, oh, I have shoe boxes just full of seashells. And I'm like, what are you doing? Putting these delectable things
into a
shoebox. Display this for the world to see. Like, how dare you? Like, you took it off the beach for someone like me to pick it up, only to put it in a box. That's so rude. So, like, I get offended. I'm like, no. Let me show you how to display this.
So Hannah's family is down in Wilmington,
yes. Okay.
And we have a family house at Carolina Beach, and my husband, my 16-year-old, and you will find us at Fort Fisher in the rocks.
Fort Fisher apparently is the place.
Digging, and it's where we have found the most beautiful conch shells after certain storms
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Last visit there was not so great. So, but you just never
Shelling
know.
it's hit or miss. I will say I have shelled all over the world. Like, I don't do anything halfway. I'm not like, oh, I'll just go to the North Carolina beach. I'm like, no, I'm going to Costa Rica, or no, I'm going to El Salvador, or no, I'm going to Turks and Caicos. Like, I have to take it to the next level.
Yeah, there you go.
With everything that I do. So people are like, oh, you like seashells? And I'm like seashells? Do I like breathing? Like, yeah, I like seashells. Like, are you kidding me? You're really underselling it. And so one thing, I don't know if you guys do this, but you can watch virtual shelling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I follow my boo, Charmin, who in Southwest Florida, beach life. She's got a YouTube channel.
Gotta check that out.
Oh,
Okay.
she's the real deal. I actually booked a shell walk with her the last time I went to the West Coast.
Awesome.
And it was so cool because it was like you got to meet your hero. And she was actually awesome. She wasn't like terrible, like you met her and you're like, wah, wah. She was awesome. So we did this whole shell walk together, and it was wild because I've been watching her videos for like 5 years. So it's weird to like,
oh, you're real.
I'm with you in real life, and we're like picking up seashells, and like we know all the names, and
that's very cool.
So yes, I think it's a very weird. Like, you wouldn't expect that from me, but I'm like, oh no, yeah, I'm into this. Like, I know like the names and like the actual names, like, and I'm like, oh, and some people call it this, but that's not the wrong name. I get so.
Oh yeah,
I get it's
okay.
wild.
Well, you're at a different level than me with that, and
I fully commit.
Next time I'm wondering what a shell is.
Yeah, if you need to know.
I'll shoot,
and I'll know it.
Instead of using
I'll
Google
be like,
Lens, I'll use Mikki
I will literally
Lens
have
for that.
friends that test me. I have friends that test me. They're like, hey, what's this? And I'm like, oh, that's a such and such from such and such, and you can find it. And then people are like, oh, you're for real. And I'm like, and you doubt me? Like, come on now. Like, have we met? How dare you?
So you said the podcast is about marketing, so I guess we should talk about
marketing.
A little bit.
Yes.
And so let's get to a hummingbird effect, since that's why we're here.
Allegedly,
I
guess you could
might
say
be
that.
a great idea. So, Mikki, 20 years in business, that's amazing. And I love that you've lived that. And like me, we've learned so many lessons along the way, right?
Yes.
And I think what I love about this show is bringing people on who aren't necessarily in the marketing space, but they've seen the effects of that in a really big way. And so as a business owner, you obviously make decisions about marketing a lot. Talk to me about maybe a small tweak or small decision you've made about marketing that had a hummingbird effect and led to a really big change in another area.
What I think is really interesting about my kind of hummingbird effect, I guess you could say, is that it wasn't, we had no idea that it was going to lead to what it led to. And it's you're going to think, how strange that this is such a unique experience. But like, I'm like, remember, I work in construction. So years and years and years ago, when I first went into business, like, I was kind of doing things the way my male counterparts were doing things. And they were just slightly less effective. I couldn't figure out why. I was like, I don't know why I'm not being received as my male counterparts are. I don't know what the difference here is, but I just was not effective in the traditional way that men communicate on construction sites. So I was like, all right, it's not really in alignment with who I am anyway. So maybe I'll just be myself and we'll just see how we'll try that out. So being myself means that I am treating people with respect, that I am really just valuing not just my client relationships, but really valuing the relationships of all of the people that work with my company. So our subcontractors, like all of the people that kind of come in contact with us, like the mindset at PDI is we just are about treating people with respect. We're about treating people, valuing them for what they're actually worth, which is really kind of not common in construction. So we do little things like we pay more than industry standard right out the gate. Like, so we don't have to adjust our pay based on what's happening in the market. We just, because I've hung drywall and it's heavy and it's hard work and I'm not going to negotiate with somebody on what I'm going to pay them. I'm like, I know how hard this is. I'm going to pay you this much money, which is very unusual in the industry. Like, people will pay you the least amount of money they can pay you. And we take the opposite approach. So that's been happening for a while now, where we just believe in building relationships and building bridges instead of just straight up burning them straight to the ground, which is very common in construction. Right. Like, everybody's just like always fighting with each other. So we kind of unintentionally but intentionally just became the company known as the people who are not going to start fights on job sites or not going to be the problem on a job site. And then we kind of started expanding that out. So when we were working on a construction site, there is a lot of different things happening all at the same time. So there's drywallers, there's plumbers, there's HVAC people, there's, all these different mechanical people, sprinkler installers, and they're all working at the same time. And a lot of times that creates conflict.
Right.
But my superintendent, Hector, who's also my husband, I was smart in that, how I planned that out. Very strategic, guys, very strategic. I met him on a job site, stole him away from another drywaller. He is just the nicest human being. Like, it's so funny.
I agree with that. I've met Hector a few times.
He is just like the nicest human being you've ever met. And people love working with him, even if they're not, working for him. So like, this actually happened. We were about to start a job, and we kind of came to like check it out and see how everything was going. And framers will, when they're framing, they wear these safety harnesses. And so they're connected to something on the roof. And it was like a Disney movie, very like reminiscent of Beauty and the Beast in the beginning song, where like Belle's walking through the little French village and everybody's like, oh, I don't know what they're saying. They're saying something in French, but they're all very excited to see Belle, and they're like, good morning. So we pull up and framers just start swinging around the building. Hector, it's Hector. And I was like, this is a Disney movie. No one noticed me, which was fine. I was like, wow, guys, rude. I'm also here. But they were like, Hector, oh my God. So everybody loves to work with Hector because he has this thing where he's like, listen, a lot of trades will make their money off of back charging other trades, especially on these big jobs. Like, holes get cut, and a lot of drywallers will make all of their profits off of the backs of the other trades. And I am so adamantly against that. We refuse to charge other trades unless they show what we call blatant disregard for our work product. Had no idea that this was going to turn into like what we are known for.
Right.
And had no idea that this translated into us being the desired drywaller on every job with every trade that's worked for us. So like when we show up to a job and people realize PDI is doing the drywall, everybody's like, oh, whew, like there's this like level of relief, and people are pushing when they're negotiating their contracts. They're like, so who's going to be doing the drywall? Is PDI going to be? And they're like, we're working on it. Like, we're negotiating with Mikki, but she's a staunch negotiator, which I am. I read my contracts. So what it turned into was this just, we decided to start tracking. Like, what does it mean for people to want to work with us? Like, what does that translate to anything? So we spent 3 years really like interviewing people, interviewing other trades, like anybody who was willing to talk to us about their experience on a job with us. And we found that by creating this environment of, hey, why don't we work together instead of against each other? People were 10% more profitable. So all of the trades were at least 10% more profitable on our jobs than they were on similar size jobs with not PDI on the job. The jobs all finished on time or ahead of schedule, which is unheard of in construction. And the general contractor processed, I think they said 25% less paperwork related to change orders. And so I'm like, so what does that cost? Like, what's that value for you guys processing like that much less paperwork? And so it was one of those things where it was a very small thing, like just to be nice to people. You're like, oh, could change the entire environment on a job site.
Well, and that comes down to like value-based branding, which is, you know, you're not using those words, but that's what we would say in our world is, you know, you're creating core values and it's really helping your brand make a difference. Yeah. Right. So talk to me about innovation. I know you said you built a software, so I want to come to that a little bit. Because in the middle of all of this, you're building the software, right?
Yeah.
And I think that plays into the same kind of value-based brand that you've been talking about, because I believe, if I remember correctly, when we've talked about your software in the past, that you're really creating transparency.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit and how that plays into a Hummingbird effect as well.
Well, so that, you know, it's so amazing in the sense of like, I am lucky to have gone to NC State, because NC State it doesn't matter what major you are. NC State is so invested in teaching their students technology. And so, you know, I graduated in 2005. It was a hot minute ago, where website development was something you paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for, because, you know, a very small group of people knew how to develop websites. But NC State was like, we don't care what your major is. You're learning how to build a website. We're teaching you how to code, because we know that no matter where you go in life, like, this is going to be a part of your future. So it was really in big thanks to NC State for like forcing the technology education upon me. That when I kind of came into this industry that does not have technology at the time, like they were using fax machines, and you would run in very frequently into companies that did not even have computers in their office. So it was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, you don't have email? And there was kind of a clashing happening, because there were these, you know, young bloods being graduated from like ECU, that they were like the first college locally that had a construction management program. So they're coming out of college, like going into these big companies saying, we need to be using technology. And so all these tradespeople were like, wait, there's not a fax machine? And they're like, no, you're going to have to email it. And they're like, what's that? And so, like, you think I'm joking, but genuinely, like, I did an internship at NC State with a construction company that did not have a computer. Wow. So, like, it was real. But during the recession, there was this company that thought, oh, we're going to sell this empty software to contractors, and contractors are going to code their own estimating software. And I was like, that's adorable. No contractor is ever going to do that. I was like, but I'll buy your umbrella and I'll code all of my own software. And it's so funny because this company has been sold so many times now that like they don't even offer the package that I had initially bought, because like I literally built all of my own estimating properties, and all of like everything that I estimate is based off of my coding and my new knowledge of the industry. And it's funny because I do a lot of consulting for these AI companies that want to build AI estimating software. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, well, we can't get it to do such and such. And I'm like, your coding's not right. And it's like, for me to be saying that to like somebody who actually that's all they do is coding, I'm just like, yeah, well, you need to tweak this and change that. And so that is a very wild experience. But what it did was it created an ability for us to provide really solid estimates. It also created the opportunity for me to really learn how to read plans. And so that is something that is kind of dying out in the construction industry, where my air quotes competitors, I'm like, we're not really competing, but they don't read plans. So they'll throw out a square footage price to get a job, and then come back and be like, oh, well, we didn't have that in our bid. And it's like, oh, but PDI did.
Right.
Because we have a system for
so
that.
you're creating a standard.
We really are. And
That's
we
cool.
have for many years. And so that's kind of the thing is like we're known as, oh, if you have a very complicated set of plans, like you want PDI on that job because so-and-so's not going to read the plans. You can give, the other people the basic stuff that everything's always the same and they'll do all right in that situation. But if you've got a weird, 5-story building that has these really complicated wall systems, PDI is the only one because they're the ones who know, they actually read the plans. And I'm like, you're welcome.
Hannah, what do you think? We've worked with quite a few brands that have done things around kind of values-based initiatives. What could they learn from what Mikki's got going on here?
I wrote down 4 just points that you said, I think, in the past second. So there's plenty to talk about. But my first one was someone has to be an industry leader. And in your case, you did it. And I would like to unpack that a little bit, but I'll see my other 3 first. Reminder to use your time. You're in a recession. People aren't maybe they aren't calling you as much. So what can you do to spend your time effectively and efficiently? And then do the right thing. That was a big thing that you had kind of talked about.
Yeah.
If we're just doing the right thing, whether it's seeing all the different pieces to quote it out or being nice to people. And then
shocking.
Start in the right place, which is I was in the middle of writing that one, so I'll get back to it. But going to someone has to be an industry leader. Can you kind of talk about how you knew the right step to take? Because obviously there's not. You're
right. You're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. But it's a little bit more than that. I think a lot of it came from watching other people. And whenever I give young entrepreneurs advice, one of the biggest things that I say is pay attention. Pay attention to everybody, what the people that aren't well received are doing, what the people who are well received are doing, and see what is something that you can tweak, that you can kind of take from both and tweak and make it your own. And I think I had the really great opportunity to watch somebody who was very intentional about being aggressive and being a tyrant, if you will, in the industry. And so I got to see that and see what that created, and really realized it wasn't creating what he thought it was. He thought it was creating respect. He thought it was creating people listening to him and valuing his opinion. But in reality, it was creating just people being like, this guy. And so I saw that and I was like, ooh, I don't want that to be people's reaction to me. It mattered to me how people felt when I walked in the room. I didn't want people to be like, oh, here we go. And it does happen a little bit because I have to play a certain role in the company. Right. And so there are people who, when I walk in the room, they're like, Mikki's here. And I'm just like, yes, I am. But for the most part, it was watching the other people and how they were received and learning from their mistakes. I think that's the best advice that anybody can take, is learning from other people's mistakes so that you don't have to be the one making it. That's way more fun.
So I want to unpack this idea, Hannah, of being the leader. Yeah. And I'm just curious if you've seen an effect of what you've done that has changed what other people do now. Have you commanded respect because you give it, to the point where you see people who were not respectful in the past changing their ways and maybe their brand's becoming better too? Is it a trickle effect in your industry?
It's a great question. Yes, and also I'm not sure. It's it's a two-way.
Right.
I know that when we talk about, we just started a project and it's already kind of off to a rocky start. So we were at a job meeting and I was like, hey guys, listen, let me just explain to you like there are two ways that this can go. We can go the hard way that we're all it's gonna cost us all money, and we're gonna not like each other at the end, and we're not gonna like coming to work, and we're not gonna like this job. Or this is other option where we could just work together and we could look at each other as all teammates instead of somebody that we're trying to get over on, and look at this as like we are one entity working towards the same goal. And I was like, I guarantee you, if we take that approach, you will enjoy this job more. You will want to be here. This will be the job that is the least of your problems, because when we're all working together, everybody gets a better result, not just me, not just you, everybody. And there were definitely some eye rolls in the room. I was like, okay, not everybody's on board, but I'm like, that's cool. I'll get you on board. Like if I could just get one person to get on board. So I have definitely seen jobs completely shift from being chaos to being like, oh, I love this job. I love coming to this job. This is my favorite job that we have, because we were so intentional about just like, oh no, man, we're not going to charge you for that. Like, just let me know when it's ready and I'll patch it up. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, no, just let me know. Or like, we'll go out there right now. And we've taught other trades how to put drywall back so that all we have to do is tape it. And they're like, you'll take the time to teach us how to do that? And we're like, yeah, because we're invested in this being a mutually beneficial experience. And they're like, wow. So on jobs, I have definitely seen a massive just change of the whole mood. Like everybody's working together, everybody's enjoying themselves. Now, whether they are
putting the pieces
together, I am not sure. But I definitely know that my general contractors see it. Right. And so they're like, we really have this reputation, especially with a couple of the ones we've done a lot of jobs with, where they're like, a lot of stuff has to happen before we show up on a job, but they're like, oh my God, we cannot wait until PDI gets on this job. Like once they get here, everything will be fine. Cause we have that ability. It's like, I call Hector, he's like, I call him the conductor. Cause basically like we get to a job and everybody, where it's like a giant orchestra, but they're all on the wrong page. They're like, everybody's playing on the sheet music from a different spot. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. And Hector comes in, he's like, everybody, page 5. And we're going to start here and we're going to finish here. And everybody's like, oh, okay. And then we're all of a sudden, like, we start making beautiful music. And I'm like, you guys, like, we're doing a thing here. So I know the GCs see it and feel it, and they will really fight for us on jobs where, you know, somebody else, they want the cheapest price. They're like, nope. Cheapest price is not always the best price. Like what we need is PDI, because this job is going to be tough and they're going to get everybody working together. And so that definitely has been just a kind of, I don't know if it's going out, but at least on the jobs we're on, like we're seeing that effect. And it is really nice because it's like we've started jobs that were chaos. And me and Hector look at each other like, I don't know. We can do it. But by the end of it, we're like, yes, everybody's best friends. We're all going for beers after work. This is amazing. Because that doesn't always happen. Like you see that on TV, but on actual job sites, like sometimes it's like, Mikki, get down here. Somebody's about to punch so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, God, I'd much rather not.
Well, so you've talked about using, you know, I'm going to call it core values to become a leader in the industry. You talked about measuring results, and great job at measuring the results of what you're doing. Good. I'm so glad. Yes. I give good advice every now and then.
You are very good at what you do. And I was like, if I were Wendy, I would be measuring this.
I think doing that insight with customers, you know, and learning what the results are from the job is amazing. And then you've talked about kind of where things are today, but how can you take what's happened to this point? What is your vision for learning from that? What's next? Like, what's the next thing that you do with that?
I think it's really, so for me, what I'm trying to be next, the next thing is teaching as many people as I can, that there are alternate ways to like do things in construction. I I'm a huge advocate of women going into construction and kind of showing them all the good and bad. Like I have to give them both sides, because I don't want anybody to be shocked when they show up to a job site and somebody's like, "Hey, sweet cheeks," because that will happen. Yeah. Somebody called me sweetheart the other day, and I like poltergeist turned my head. Like it was so slow and menacing that I was like, "Sweetheart, really?" But you know, so like just preparing women for like, hey, this is an amazing opportunity. Women are so needed in construction. But this might happen, and just be aware of this, and just here's how I would handle this if you run into this. So it is a lot of encouraging people to go into the trades, to operate from a place of like core values, or we call it just like integrity.
Right.
Like having that integrity and being very open about why it matters. And I like, and really encouraging people to have the confidence to go into anything that is kind of calling to them, but they don't necessarily feel like they have a place at that table, which is where kind of the public speaking comes in, where I'm really passionate about going out and telling as many people as I can about the importance of having the confidence to really go after what it is that you want. You know, like I spent 20 years being somebody who wasn't necessarily welcome in the room. And really the trick to that is not caring. Like, listen, I knew at some point in my career that I may not be wanted at that table, but I was absolutely needed. Yeah. And so there's a lot of people in the construction industry that may not be wanted, but are absolutely needed. And women are definitely in that category.
Well, I want to unpack the importance for mentoring a little bit. So what I know about you, because we go back so long, is that you have had mentors, a few mentors along the way that made a big difference, and now you're mentoring women. Yeah. Can you just talk about that experience and the things that have made an impact? Because my guess is there's some hummingbird effects to unpack there too, but let's just talk about women and mentoring, because it's a world I'm in as well. God, yeah. Right? And what impact has that had, and how are you carrying that forward?
I will say it was so funny. I did not have any idea the importance and the value of a mentor until I had one. And then it was like, oh my goodness. And it's funny because people always ask me like, oh, well, how did that come about? And it's basically like I met a woman who was dynamic, not in construction at all. So she had owned, her name is Mary Contando. Everybody knows Mary, yes. But she's like the most well-known. Like I drop her name all over places. I'm like, Mary Contando? Is that? Oh no,
Mary's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
She is.
Yes.
And so I met her. She had just started a program that she was helping women grow their companies to the $1 million mark. And I was just under that. And it was like the most frustrating thing, because every year I'd think I was going to break the $1 million mark, and like a contract would get pushed or something would happen. Mm-hmm. I couldn't get over that hump. So she was starting this program called the Women's Advantage. And so I joined, and I just kind of like was like, you are mine now. Like I did not ask her to be my mentor. I just forced my relationship on her. It was like, I have questions, you have answers. And eventually it was just like, yeah, Mary's my mentor by force. She doesn't have a choice at this point. Like she has to answer my calls. But that was really pivotal in the smallest of ways that made the biggest of impacts, down to like Mary's whole claim to fame is her motto is Mary doesn't do any actual work. That is like, she will tell everybody that, like that is her goal, is like she doesn't actually want to do any real work. Like she loves supporting the global economy or the local economy and like outsourcing literally everything, or like getting you to do something for her so she doesn't have to do it. And it was like a great thing to watch, because I was in the phase where many women business owners are, of doing it all myself. So like I remember Mary sitting down and having this conversation with me, because I didn't want to hire a cleaning lady. I have like English Mastiffs. My house is a mess if there's not somebody actively working on that. Right. So I was spending a bunch of time like laundry and all this stuff. And Mary was like, okay, so she sat me down, she calculated how much time that I was spending on that stuff that I could be spending on estimating. And then if one of my estimates was accepted, like the amount of money that I was wasting doing laundry. And it's like, this seems like such a basic concept. Like, who doesn't know this? But a mentor, especially in female, a female mentor, mentoring a female in business, it was shocking to me. Like the amount of money that I was like, are you kidding me? So like, I could just pay this lady to like clean my house. And then I'm out here making the money to pay and she's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow. And that sparked so much change in my business. I hired a cleaning lady. I hired this and that. And I stopped doing all of these things that I did not really have time for. And I just focused on my business. And the next year I grew to over $1 million. And it was like, so something as simple as stop cleaning your house, stop wasting your time doing your laundry, like find somebody to do that. Grow your business.
I do love mowing the grass sometimes.
I love that.
I love
You
it.
are wild animals.
It is such just a
So
mindless, satisfying.
Yeah. I
I
am
get to see an end
impressed.
result.
God.
And I get my steps
My
in.
God, today I have
sweat
to mow my lawn. It is something has gone wrong. I have a guy for that. His name is Mauricio. He just shows up. I don't even schedule him. Like he is like
He
magic.
just knows to stop by.
He's like,
and mow
oh,
the
it's
lawn.
Mickey's grass is gonna be up to her knees. I better go get on that. Like, and Mauricio comes, and I'm like, I love you, Mauricio. Take all my money. Like 0%.
I think the other story I heard in a similar vein from you was the first class plane ticket story.
Yes. Yeah,
So let's unpack
Okay.
that one, and then I'm going to let Hannah take us home.
Okay. Yeah. So when I met Mary, she only flew first class, and I was not at the level of flying first class, but I was very bitter about it. I was like, I'm not basic. I don't want to sit and coach. I'm not here for that. I want first class. And then I saw how much first class tickets cost, and I was like, that's very offensive. I can't pay that much money. And now it's hilarious because I only fly first class. Like if I can't get a first class ticket, I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't attend your event or whatever it is. Like there's no first class to where you are. So sorry. Unless you want to pay for a private train to take me to where you are, I can't come. It's not really that serious. I will fly non first class if I have to, but that was a thing where I realized, from time to time, I get a little travel anxiety. And so the benefit of getting on the plane first and off the plane first is like so calming to that travel anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so there's all these benefits that I get from flying first class that like I had no idea it was just worth the money for me. Now there's a lot of people out there. I'm going to break the fourth wall. There's a lot of people out there that are like, that is the stupidest waste of money. But it's really about what I call like your value proposition. Like for me, I will spend an offensive amount of money on a first class ticket because that is what I value. I value the comfort. I value getting on the plane quickly, getting off the plane quickly. Like I don't even care about the food or the free drinks because honestly I can't eat it anyway and I can't drink it anyway. It's the comfort. It's the peace of mind. But that took me a really long time to understand the importance of that. Like the importance of valuing my comfort, myself. Like I'm a drywaller. Like my body, if you squish me into this teeny tiny seat, it's probably going to take me 2 days for my back muscles to release so I can actually enjoy whatever it is that I'm doing. But if I fly first class and I have plenty of room, like I'm comfortable, I get off the plane, I'm good. So that upgrade to the first class, it was really investing in myself. And it was not something that I looked at from that perspective. Like it was like, oh, this is a silly waste of money. Oh no, it is not. It is not. And people will still be like, that's just like, my neighbor is a delight, but he will really hound me about my first class flights. And I'm just like, go ahead, bud. Like, this is my value proposition.
And I'm happy.
I'm happy. It's not your flight, it's mine. So you go ahead and fly Southwest. I'm fine with that. I will be on whatever flight has a first class ticket to that destination.
Well, I guess a brand that's changing is Southwest.
Yeah,
so we'll see what is about to happen there.
I saw
Are they
that.
going to add first class too?
Please
what
do.
Are they gonna
I'll
do?
actually fly it.
Because you're going to get to choose your seats now. So it's it's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
But that is going to be a big branding change.
That
Yeah.
is going to be, and I'm surprised it took this long, to be perfectly honest. Like, they held out for a while.
They were true to it for a long time. So, Hannah, bring us home. I know you've been taking notes like a crazy woman as usual.
I'm so impressed with your note-taking ability.
Goodness. Well, no, you have to follow the arrows. This one curls. And honestly, you guys will hear, I'm struggling with the exact change. So, and I have like 7 wrote down. So I said that you're in an industry that is slow to change. And the small change you made was, and I wrote be herself, but I've also wrote that you that you chose NC State. You shifted your focus. You, I don't know, focused on the benefits to your company, to yourself. So insert your change. But they all played into these huge, tremendous differences in your company. To me, it sounds like more people want to be a part of it. More people want to just have you guys in the room to boost morale, boost efficiency. The reputation of PDI now, like, it sounds like if something's on fire, they don't care the cost they're calling you.
They're like, call PDI.
Which is a really nice place to be in. I mean, maybe not for you every time, but to know that they have you. For the industry, you've added or given them this software to make these changes, but also just for others. Again, you did not say this specifically, but it sounds like you've really empowered others to, or given the permission to be kind and to be different and to not address someone the way that they would, because they know you guys are there and you'll support them in doing the right thing rather than saving $3.
What is easy versus what is right.
So there's a lot of changes that came from just being nice.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Like, just like treating people with respect and like this mentality of like, hey, what can we build together versus working against each other. And there's so much more that you can build together, even though it's like, listen, my company and your company have nothing to do with each other. Our profits are completely separate. But magically, when we have this mentality of building together and we work together and we treat each other with respect and we treat each other's work product with respect, we all make more money. So I'm like, it's all kind of connected, guys. I'm like, are we having an M. Night Shyamalan moment here? Like, are we revealing the big reveal at the end? Like, actually, we all make money when we're just nice to each other.
And that's a really big piece also, is you took the time to figure that out.
Yeah.
Rather than just continuing on in the industry that just continues on.
And that made a big difference with our clients. So because we did take 3 years to really track this, when we go to potential new clients or even with our current clients, and we show them the data, and it's just like, this isn't just us saying, there's actually data that backs this up and we can prove that this mentality is beneficial. It's a much easier sell for people to kind of let us come in and do our thing, because they're like, oh, well, we'll finish quicker, we'll make more money, everybody on the job will be happier. Okay.
Right.
So that was honestly, that was inspired by you, Wendy, because we had worked together and you had done some data collection, and I was like, okay, we're going to data collect like Wendy. Wendy would do it this way. We're going to do it. So thank you for that.
Well, Mikki, thank you. And thank you for being on the show today. It's been great to have you.
I have had a blast. I hope that you're feeling good about not having a script. I hope that you're like, this was great.
I'll find out from Joe if
Joe's
this
like, we're
worked out
scrapping
well.
this whole episode. Sorry. He's like, we're going to have to reschedule.
No, I feel pretty good, and thank you for giving me the confidence to do that.
I'm glad that I could inspire that
queen.
from you. From the queen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on.
So for everyone watching and listening, thank you for joining us today. And after hearing Mikki's story, I hope you'll go out and find your own hummingbird effect. Fourth wall.
Yeah, I know. I was like, are we all going to do it?
Thanks for listening to The Hummingbird Effect with Wendy Coulter. We hope you found this episode valuable. Please be sure to rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. To learn more or to work with Wendy and her team, go to hummingbird-creative.com.